Okay, so welcome to the South Carolina Finance Forum Day 2. My name is Amanda Stiglbauer, and I am with SC Economics. I am the project manager and work as a part-time associate with the council, and also am a full-time teacher at Blythewood High School in Blythewood, South Carolina. I teach AP Micro and all things econ and personal finance all day long. So it is truly a dream job. And I'm so glad that all of you are joining us tonight. With me, I have Brian Page from Next Gen Personal Finance. And if you know the name Next Gen, then you know how phenomenal their resources are. If you don't, you're in for a treat tonight. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Brian.
Well, we really appreciate you having us, and we hold South Carolina's Economic Center in the highest regard. That you guys do such a great job with training, and thanks for taking the time to pull all this together. And for all the folks that are online right now, as you teach during COVID, I know what it's like. I finished my teaching career this spring doing it. We admire the heck out of you. We know how hard it is, how much work it is. So we really appreciate you taking the time to continue to go above and beyond and figure out ways to find these little nuggets of information and resources to help your students. As was brought up before, I'm with Next Gen Personal Finance. I have been with us full time for about 6 months. Before that, I was a public school teacher at a Title I school for about 15 years. Was a Milken National Teacher of the Year, and I was on President Obama's Advisory Council, the working group. And I feel like I've won the career lottery. I'm part of an organization that just is deeply passionate about supporting teachers and serving students through teachers. And I can tell you we do all that we can to make sure that we provide you with whatever you need at your fingertips to be as great as you can be for your kids. For those of you that have attended any of our training that we conduct, we typically have a Nearpod that we run side by side with the Zoom, but we realize that some of you or a lot of you might be unfamiliar with that. So we're going to keep it a little bit more simple today and just share what we're doing through Zoom. So I'm going to go ahead right now and I'm going to share my screen. And in addition to that, you're going to find that I will share the actual presentation in preview mode in the chat box so you can click along the way, because many of the slides are clickable, meaning you can go to different links, and I'm going to have you go and do little activities along the way. So inside the chat box, I just shared that presentation, and if you click on that link and open it up, it'll probably help you. So then you can move along. And then I will also share links to slides along the way in addition to that. So right now I'm going to share my screen so you can see the presentation that I'm looking at. All right. And I will give everyone a second to get antiquated with the screen. And all right, so anyway, we are going to dive into about us, what our organization does, some example resources, where you can learn more to make sure that at the conclusion of this session, you have a pretty good grasp of what we do and how we can support you. So we're going to start off simply with just an icebreaker. So I don't know about you, but I was always a little bit nervous about conducting any kind of session that involved or lesson that involved having students do any type of career exploration without exposing them to resources like this one, where they could explore the likelihood that that career that they think that they're going to fall in love with might be taken by a robot. So as you can see here on the screen, this is an icebreaker where you're going to dive in and you're going to explore a career that you are interested in, and you are going to figure out what the chances are that you will have that career will be outsourced. So I'm going to kind of give you an example here of what that looks like. So I clicked on the slide itself because it's a clickable slide. And let's say, for example, that I'm super interested in going into, let's see, I'll be a teller, an office and administrative support. I want to be a teller. So there is a 98.3% chance that my job is going to be automated in the future. There's going to be some sort of robot doing in the future. And we're dealing with that now, right? I mean, we all have, at least I have a mobile banking app. I can't remember the last time I went to the bank to cash my check. I just take a picture of it and voila, the money's in my account. So feel free to go ahead and click on the screen now. And I will also share this direct link inside the chat box and do a little bit of digging yourself. Explore a few careers and see what the likelihood is of that career being automated. Would anybody like to share what career they selected? If so, just type your name in the chat box, and then the floor is yours. Anybody?
Brian, I had trouble clicking. I went out of the meeting by accident.
Oh, not a problem. Are you back in the meeting? Can you see?
Yes, I'm back in the meeting, but where do I click? I'm a little confused about that.
Well, you can click on in two places.
Okay.
Probably the best place to click would be, I'm going to share the link with you again, just to go directly to that website.
Okay. Will it take me out of the meeting when I do that?
I don't.
Not sure.
So. Yeah, I don't think so. Looks like Abigail has a 3.5% chance of being automated as a lawyer. Was it Janetta? A 0.8% as a teacher. It looks like we're pretty safe. That's positive news. So this is just an example icebreaker that you can use with the students. This is an example spreadsheet that we have as a companion resource, so students can reflect on what type of career they believe is going to be not only something that is going to suit their interests and their passions, but also in addition to that, is not going to be automated. So a little bit about us. First of all, we really focus on three things, and a little bit more about that later. But from the outset, I want to make sure that we're clear that we are going to provide our services for free. Everything that we do, it's free. It's always going to be free. There's never going to be a paywall. We are very fortunate to be funded by an enormous grant to ensure that the resources that we're going to put at your fingertips are resources that are always going to be free to you. And so a little bit about how we started. Years ago, Tim Ranzetta, our co-founder, was volunteering his time at East Side College Preparatory School. And Tim was devoting himself to a classroom full of kids to teach them money management skills. And he was frustrated because he had a tough time being able to give those kids up-to-date resources or interactive, engaging resources. And despite his best efforts of scouring the web and talking to folks, and so he decided that he was going to do something about it. And out of that, Next Gen Personal Finance was born. So if you fast forward to today, over the past 5 years, since that moment in time where our co-founder Tim Ranzetta decided that he wanted to do something to give back to the world in a really big way, we have gone from one active teacher to we're approaching 37,000 actively registered teachers. And so that doesn't include teachers that just visit our website. What that means is they've created accounts and that they have access to answer keys. They use our resources actively in their classrooms. this is something that was born out of a passion and something that has grown organically. It's very rare that we ever meet with districts. Typically, anytime that we see growth, more often than not, it's, as reported through surveys, a result of word of mouth. So we focus on really 4 things. First of all, our curriculum is very comprehensive. It meets all the national standards, and we do that in part because every state has different standards. We know that. So we have yet to run across a state where our curriculum did not meet their standards. It's customizable, meaning that for those folks who use Google Classroom, like I did when I was a classroom teacher, it was wonderful because once you created your teacher account, had access to all the answer keys and the teacher handouts, you could just download it through Google Classroom, click File, make a copy, and then you could add your own flavor to the material. That for me was a lifesaver because prior to that, so much that was shared was either through paper version or through PDFs, and that's just not how I enjoyed to teach. I always like to add my own twist to things. You'll see that the resources on our website are not just ours, but we also curate and some of the best resources that we can find, whether they're interactives or games that already exist. And then obviously, with a changing financial world, we have to keep up, and we are constantly working in the background to make sure that the resources within our curriculum are being revised as current law and financial products and services continue to evolve. So our primary mission is that by 2030, all students are going to take a 1-semester personal finance course before they graduate from high school. It's a lofty goal, but we also know that through research that when a teacher is trained and feels confident in the material themselves and they're delivering the course within a minimum of 1 full semester devoted entirely to personal finance, that the lessons are stickier and that there is certainly behavior change as a result. And so we are doing all that we can to support any type of effort to make that requirement a reality. So as I mentioned before, we have 3 primary purposes that are all going to be delivered free due to a generous grant. So the curriculum that we provide is, as I mentioned before, through Google Classroom. It meets all the national standards, but it's not limited to just lessons. It is pulled together in the many different ways that we see personal finance taught across the country, anywhere from a year-long class that we have as a turnkey class to a semester, 9-week workshops, unit-by-unit classes. We even have it structured in a way where you can dive in and just search for individual interactives, FinCap Fridays, arcade games, just different ways that you can take pieces of what we create or have created and pluck it into the different resources that you already have. The professional development that we offer is designed to do 2 things. One, it's to make the pedagogy come alive, to help support whatever efforts that you're making in the classroom to do that. And then this summer, we decided to, in addition to that, add certification courses that focused on content. So you'll see later on in the session that through these courses, teachers can spend 5 different days, 2 hours at a time, so 10 total hours, learning the specifics about all of the content that is in all of our units. So for example, I'm leading one on taxes starting next week, and we're going to spend 5 weeks, 2 hours a night, 1 night a week, focusing on becoming experts at teaching our students about taxes. When we talked about curriculum before, I mean, this is just an example of how we're constantly updating things. We announced a new comprehensive middle school course this summer for middle school teachers. We're doing full year course revamps. We're adding mini units on philanthropy, entrepreneurship, and then we're adding deeper units into alternatives for college. And then what's always a crowd pleaser is anything that we do with behavioral finance, and that includes a new certification that's going to be offered starting next week to become experts in behavioral finance. The professional development that we offer is unique in the sense that not only is it in person pre-COVID, and it will be after COVID, And you can see that through what are called fin camps that are 1 day, usually 6 to 8 hour training events, and then fin camp pluses, which are typically 3 full days of in-person training, but also through our NGPF Academy, where we provide virtual professional development. And like as we speak right now, from 5 to 9 Eastern time or 5 to 10, there's multiple facilitators in our organization providing that to teachers online. And then, as I mentioned before, the certifications. Within the NGPF Academy, teachers have an opportunity to earn Amazon gift cards and swag. So I believe if you are able to complete 40 hours, I believe the number is about $525 in Amazon gift cards and swag. We value your time. We understand that you have to work really hard during the day, and we're doing all that we can to try to support all the teachers going above and beyond to continue to better themselves. So I'm going to stop talking right now. I can tell you that in most of our PDs, again, like I said before, we have a Nearpod side by side with the session, and usually we have people interacting with one another pretty quickly. But I do want to give everyone an opportunity to dig in a little bit to become more antiquated with our organization. So what you're looking at right now just is a choice board. It should be clickable. So if you actually click on the screen or on the presentation itself, which I will share with you, you should be able to go to one of 4 areas. So the certification courses are where you can learn more about how to become an expert at certain content areas. You can sign up. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up. You can sign up for our blog. So that link will take you straight to the blog, and you'll see a place to sign up on the right-hand side. Takes about 15 seconds, and each day you'll get something new in your inbox. It could be a new interactive, it could be a new spin or a remote adaptation to material we already have, but things that we think you'll find helpful at that moment. What has become very popular is our Finlit Fanatics page, where we really don't say much. We just simply wanted to create a community of personal finance folks that want to collaborate with one another and share ideas on how they can better bring to life their classroom. And then obviously, if you want to create a teacher account. So I'm going to go ahead and send the link to that slide in the chat box. If you want to go ahead and at least sign up for one thing. For those of you that are unable to click on the screen itself, that's why I'm sending this right now. Okay, so like I said, you should be able to click on the slide itself and just take 2 minutes and just dive in and decide how you better want to learn about our organization. Okay, so obviously you have access to that at a later time if you like. I've sent the link in the chat box. But before I move forward, what questions do any of you have about anything that I've gone over thus far? Does anybody have any questions? Okay, so we obviously are trying to do all we can to hook 21st century learners. So just 3 examples of how we do that are to use games to connect students to social media, and then more alignment to the digital area, or digital era. So I'm just going to give you just an example of some of those activities right now, and let you peruse through those activities. So again, this is a clickable screen. You can choose one of 3 things to dive into to figure out which one you think would be best for your students. So on the left-hand side, you will see that we have a game called Payback. So I'm going to click on my screen so you can see the game itself, and it's designed to help students become familiar with not just the choices that they have to take prior to going to college, such as how much debt is too much debt, but in particular, the kinds of choices that students have to face while they're in college to ensure that they graduate. We all know that the greatest that of all students who go into default on their student loan debt, it's not the most amount of money owed, but it's actually just the students who started college, borrowed, and never finished. And so this game dives into some of the ways in which they have to just simply manage their time, and they have to weigh different things like going out at night to make sure they have some happiness or joy in their lives, and staying in and studying all the time. Are they finding network opportunities, or are they like taking care of themselves? Like, these are all the things that college kids have to think about above and beyond how to pay for it. So the game kind of guides students through those choices. So with all of our games, you'll see that there is a companion handout. So here it's linked as student activity. The gig economy is actually not our game, but we have a companion handout that goes with it. And it's a really good game to try to introduce students to a side hustle, what it means to work within the gig economy. So I like to use it to teach tax paperwork for Form W-9s and 1099s. I like to use it also to teach the difference between above the line and below the line tax deductions. And then the game Spent was created by the company that we hired to make a lot of these different games. You'll see in the arcade we have a ton. And that is a challenge that is posed to the students where they're down to their last $1,000, and they have to find a way to make it through the end of the month while life throws all different types of problems their way. So go ahead and take a moment. I'm going to also share this in the chat box, and just dive into any of the resources that you like. And if you wouldn't mind, in the chat box, out of curiosity, just type the resource that you're looking at. So Amanda loves Payback and Spent. So if you wouldn't mind, go ahead and type the resource that you're looking at inside the chat box. Okay, Abigail's looking at Spent. Launch Spent. A lot of people looking at Spent. Payback. Spent. A lot of folks looking at Spent. So I'll give you a minute or two to dive into that game to get just at least get a handle of what it looks like and feels like. instruction hope. So before we move on, does anyone have any questions about those 3 games? If you do, feel free to unmute yourself. Happy to help. All right, so we are going to do a little mini lesson on connecting to social media. I'm going to leave these little strategies that companies use to try to influence you into making spending decisions through social media. Because as we all tell our students, if you're on social media and you're not paying for it, it's because you are the product, right? And so in looking at this, use that as a guide, cheat sheet, if you will. And I'm going to share with you a Google form, and let's see how you do on looking at different social media advertisements and determining how it is that the social media company is trying to manipulate you into making a spending decision. So in the chat box is the actual Google form, and I'm going to leave my screen open so you can see the definitions of each of those ways in which they're trying to influence you. And no rush at all, but when you're finished, please type done inside the chat box. Let's go for about another 30 seconds. Not a problem, Megan. All right, so here's what, like a standard activity, a lesson, I should say, looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the screen so you can see it. And as I mentioned before, this is the student handout. There's obviously a teacher handout that has the typical structure that includes extension resources, alignment to standards. This handout is designed specifically to give to students. As I mentioned before, it's customizable, right? You just click File, make a copy, and then you can add your own spin to this. In the upper right-hand corner, we typically have something extra. So as an example, if there is some tips that might be necessary to pull this lesson off with excellence, you'll see a teacher tip video from my colleague Amanda that's usually about 5 minutes long. In this case, it's virtual adaptation ideas. So if I click on this, you're going to see the work that we've done to try to take existing lessons and make them structure them in a way where they can be delivered online. So this one specifically gives you ideas on how to deliver this lesson in a synchronous environment and an asynchronous environment. And then obviously we have lots of remote adaptation sessions that are a part of our website. So this is just another example of how we have taken pretty popular lessons and made them adaptable to a remote learning and teaching environment. So I'm going to go ahead, for those of you who are interested and want to bookmark this, I'm going to go ahead and share this inside the chat box. And so back to the actual handout. So the handout would obviously guide students through the lesson, and at the end there's typically some sort of assessment piece or reflection piece. So in this instance, there's a reflection piece where they have to figure out how what was learned in this lesson is relative to their lives and the decisions that they're making right now. Let me go back here. So anyhow, that is an example lesson. And I want to show you 3 more things that, again, the theme of just trying to make sure that we're providing 21st century skills for students, that we're providing up-to-date financial information for students. From left to right, we have a virtual career day, which are essentially a bunch of videos that have been strung together. We have created a lesson where students research different online tools and apps that they can use themselves. And obviously there's a video that accompanies it. We love to put a lot of our videos in Ed Puzzles. And then the wildly popular FinCap Fridays, which tackle a topic of the week that's timely and is structured in a way where 3 to 5 minutes of instruction through whatever energetic topic that Yaneli is presenting at that time can then be transformed into a little mini lesson. It always is accompanied with follow-up questions that ignite, hopefully, really good classroom discussions. So if you wouldn't mind, just take a couple minutes and click on each of those examples, and then I will also share it within the chat box. In the meantime, please let me know in the chat box if you have any questions. And when you're you're done, please, and I'm not rushing you at all. We are on time. But if you wouldn't mind, just type done in the chat box when you're finished. Again, we're not behind. Janetta, I totally agree. A virtual career day is needed. I love, somebody brought up math. We have our own, if you look on our curriculum page, you'll see that we have a complete set of math lessons that integrate financial literacy concepts, and they are phenomenal. The team that pulls those together are energetic, passionate about both math and financial literacy. They're aligned to math standards. So for those of you that like to incorporate both, that is a dynamite tool. All right, so I have to say I wanted to go a little faster because I want to get I love playing games, and so before we get to that, if you are interested in the upcoming teacher certifications, they begin next week. They are filling up. They're very popular, but now's a great time to sign up. So you can click on the link. Oops, did not mean to click that. I thought it was, yeah. So if you click on the blue space, you'll see what will pop up is an opportunity to register for the certification courses. So like I said, they begin next week. There's one on taxes on Mondays from 4 to 6 Eastern time, and then on Wednesdays from 7 to 9 Eastern time. Investing, behavioral finance, which might be full, paying for college credit. These are all the sessions, the certifications being provided starting next week. And again, they are filling up. So if you're interested, I would recommend signing up now or just following the course. I'm going to share inside the chat box a direct link to this. All right, so I want to dive into a few more of our games. So this is a choice board. I realize that we have already played Payback, but these are 3 of our simpler games. You can dive in. They usually take 10 to 12 minutes, so I realize you're not going to be able to play the full game. Shady Sam is arguably my favorite game. It's really intuitive. Kids dive in, they take the role of this like super shady, basically payday lender, and the job of the student is to rip off unsuspecting borrowers who come in asking for loans or different banking products, I should say loans. And the more money that you can make as a player in interest by extending the loan, the more points you get. So you're actually trying to extend them the worst possible loan. And the 3 criteria items that you have to choose from are the interest rate, the term length, and the monthly payment. So what it teaches the kids as they're playing, so I preferred for them to play and figure it out, is that the longer the loan, obviously the more they pay in interest. The higher the interest rate, the more they pay in interest. And then as they play, they start to figure out how those 2 things kind of work together. And the students at the end, usually they love it, but they'll the common theme is they feel really dirty at the end. They feel like even though it's little digital people, that they're scamming people. Bumper is our brand new insurance game. It takes such a nice, joyful, lighthearted approach to insurance. It's super intuitive. The first one's pretty fun. It's just pet insurance, and there's just different made up add-ons, but obviously it's designed to teach you, the basic terms that accompany any kind of insurance product. And Money Magic is like a metaphorical budgeting game that my students loved. I think it's also awesome for middle school students. So you can click on the choice board and it'll take you to the arcade. Feel free to play any of those 3 games. And I'm also going to share this inside the chat box as well. Okay, so just want to open it up to any last minute questions that you may have. Okay. Well, Amanda, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, folks. Thanks for joining. Mary, glad to hear that, or glad to read that you use our curriculum and love it. I appreciate that. We obviously want to do everything we can to support you. So anything you need, just let us know. I'm going to put my email in the chat box if you have any follow-up questions.
Brian, thank you so much for sharing tonight. I know those of you who do use the NGPF curriculum and resources, I've never met anyone who doesn't love them. And I know that my students, as well as many of yours probably as well, enjoy them as well. So Brian, thank you so much for sharing. You did a super job. We're getting a lot of love in the chat box, of course. So from SC Economics, from NGPF, and all of our sponsors, we want to thank you guys tonight. Please be on the lookout for a follow-up email that will have our evaluation and information about the incentive. If you guys are kind of vying for the incentive for attending 2 or more of these sessions, that email will be sent out, I think, in the morning. Also, we will have our resources posted on the South Carolina Finance Forum website, so keep a lookout for those as well. And of course, I'll list my email in the chat box as well. If you guys have any questions or any support in any way, I'm happy to help. Otherwise, we'll kind of wrap it up and move on to the very last session of tonight.
Thanks, Amanda. Take care. Have a really nice night.
You guys do the same.
I'm going to make you the host just to make sure that there isn't any kind of issue when I get off here. So you are now the host.
Awesome. Thank you again, Brian. And thanks to all of our participants. You guys were lovely.
Thank you, Amanda. Take care, everyone.